Our movie begins with a man driving a beat-up truck on a lonely road. The truck is pulling a small trailer that has the word circus written on it in Spanish. The man listens to the news on the radio where they talk about an approaching hurricane, so he changes the station to rock music. Later, he parks by the roadside and gets out of the truck, waiting for somebody. Soon enough, a new truck carrying also a pulling trailer shows up. A man, Johnny Gavinock, gets out of the new truck and approaches this man. And when Tom stretches out his hand for a handshake, the man doesn't take it. Instead, he asks Tom for his permit, which he presents. The man opens his trailer to reveal a Bengal tiger, and when John reaches to touch the tiger's cage, the man stops him. John asks if the tiger's trained. He says he wants a trained or scary tiger for his safari ranch when the man says no. If not, he wants to pay $5,000 less than the agreed price. The man says the only reason he's selling the tiger is that it attacked a circus horse during a show. So now John's interested, asking if the tiger chased the horse down. The man replies that the tiger flew 16 feet over a cage, went past 11 horses to target this particular horse, Silver Dollar. The man says the tiger didn't kill the horse, it broke its spine and ate it alive. He says the tiger isn't scary, it's evil. So the man says the meeting's a waste of time and makes to leave, but John stops him by agreeing to pay the agreed price plus expenses. The man tells Tom the tiger hasn't been fed in 2 weeks, then shows Tom a chain with a hook at the end of it. He tells Tom to use only the chain to roll the tiger out. John renames the tiger Lucifer. In the next scene, Kelly and Tom are walking down a hallway. Kelly's trying to convince Tom of the benefits of attending this new school. She tells him he has to stay here because she has to go to college, and he can't come with her. Tom, who's also autistic, doesn't respond. Now they're in Dr. Orsi's office, the head of the school. She goes through their file, and she notes that while Kelly and Tom live with their stepfather, Kelly has been taking care of Tom since their mother's death. Dr. Orsi asks her if she wants to continue with Tom's care after college. She says she's not sure. She has conservatorship over Tom and will do what's best for him. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell to get good luck for the whole day. And when it's time for Kelly to leave, she touches Tom and causes him to react badly. Kelly starts to apologize to Dr. Orsi, but the doctor leans towards Tom and whispers to him to please sit down. And to Kelly's surprise, Tom complies. And then somebody comes into the office and whispers something to Dr. Orsi. And Dr. Orsi in turn informs Kelly that the check she presented just bounced. Kelly says that's impossible and calls her bank. The bank tells her that her stepfather withdrew all the money and closed the account. The banker advises Kelly to talk to John, her stepfather. John arrives at the ranch. He tells all the workers there to unhitch the trailer from the truck and put up boards for the windows in preparation for the approaching hurricane. One of the workers puts his hand through the trailer, and another puts his hand on the cage. John screams at the worker in Spanish, and there's a scream at the back of the trailer. Lucifer has almost bitten off one of the man's fingers, who put his hand on the cage. John gives him some money and directs him to a hospital that doesn't report undocumented immigrants, and tells them to get medical help before he loses the finger. Now when Kelly arrives, boarding is going on all around the house. She angrily goes in search of John, and she's looking all over the house for him, and when she comes to the kitchen, Kelly sees a new freezer. She continues her search, asking where the freezer came from. Outside, Tom's looking at a new red truck. He walks towards the trailer, and he hears Lucifer growl. Intrigued, he walks to the trailer door, tries to open it, but the handle won't budge. And John meets him at the trailer door and asks what he's doing outside. He tells Tom to go inside because it's not safe being outside. He doesn't answer at first, making John talk to him like a toddler. And as he walks towards him, Tom walks away towards the house. Now Kelly sees John through the window and walks downstairs to confront him. He tells her that her mother didn't leave a will, and she counters this by saying her mother made her wishes known in writing. John calls it writing on a post-it note. He also tells her that since there's no will, all the money and the house belong to him. Kelly says all she wants is what's left of the money. And John says he doesn't have any money left because he bought a tiger. He says the people who come to his safari ranch want the real deal, and a Bengal tiger is the real deal. She says that money was to take care of Tom. and he replies that she doesn't have to put her life on hold for him. She can go wherever she wants to go and leave Tom with him. Kelly scoffs at the idea. When John leaves, Tom comes into the kitchen and tells Kelly he wants to eat. She makes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and cuts it into little squares, but when she goes to pour milk into Tom's cup, he gets upset when it's full. Kelly placates him and takes his meal to the den, where they watch a homemade video of Tom's 8th birthday with their mom. They're watching the video for a while until Kelly decides to make a call to Mr. Lewis, the person in charge of her college scholarship. When Mr. Lewis picks up, she asks for a deferment of her admission till the next semester. Mr. Lewis tells her she has deferred the scholarship twice already. If she doesn't resume for the semester, she's going to forfeit the scholarship. Mr. Lewis says Kelly isn't Tom's mother, and she should let John take care of Tom while she resumes college. Kelly's not happy with this response, and she realizes that she doesn't have a choice. So she tells Mr. Lewis she understands. Kelly's thinking about this call now when she hears Tom repeatedly moving to a creaking staircase, and she tells him to stop, but he continues. Frustrated, she tells Tom that this is her mad face to get him to stop, but it doesn't work. She pulls a protesting Tom to his room, and he scurries into a cave made of blankets. Kelly notices their mother's bag, and she sees that it contains some of her medication. Kelly asks Tom where he got it and if he took any of the drugs, but Tom doesn't answer. Kelly goes to her room and she takes off her jacket and sits in bed, picks up her pillow, uses it to cover her face, and screams out in frustration. She goes to the bathroom to do her business and brush her teeth when she hears the front door open. Kelly rushes downstairs and sees Tom standing at the door, looking into the distance, and both of them are hearing the growls of the tiger from a distance. Kelly herds Tom in and looks out, disturbed by these continuing growls. Someone pulls Lucifer's cage to the front door, and he attaches a rope to the door handle. And when the door opens, the man whose face isn't shown opens Lucifer's cage, and darkness ensues. The camera pans around the house, going from room to room until it gets to the staircase. Kelly comes out of her room and walks to Tom's room. She puts a pillow over a sleeping Tom's face. Tom trashes until Kelly opens her eyes and sees she's been dreaming, and now the hurricane is in full swing by now. Thunder can be heard. Kelly gets out of her bed, gently opens Tom's door, and looks at him while he sleeps. Kelly heads downstairs and goes to the kitchen, sees a note on the fridge from John, telling her he had gone to the store. She opens the fridge and takes out a bottle of water, and as she's walking back upstairs, she hears a metal clang. She walks back to the kitchen to check what it was, and when she doesn't see anything, she heads back to her room. And she's about to open the door when she hears something again. So she goes back downstairs and calls out to whoever it is. And when she doesn't get a reply, she calls out Tom's name. Still no reply. And Kelly's about to go back to her room when she sees Lucifer walking through the house. Terrified, she stealthily walks back to her room, opens the boarded windows, and tries to push the boards free, but they're not budging. She hurries to the bathroom looking for her phone. And the phone's dead because she didn't charge it. So she rushes to the hallway to find the landline, but there's no connection. And as she's backing to her room, she hears Lucifer's growl. Kelly hurries to Tom's room and tells him to wake up while she's trying to see if she can pry some boards on the window loose. She has no luck. And it's then that she realizes that Tom isn't in the room. She looks under the bed and in the closet. Tom ain't there. Carefully, Kelly's walking down the stairs to find her brother, and she runs to the basement and finds a phone to call the police department. Unfortunately, they aren't available due to the hurricane. The program voice tells her to enter her phone number and the police will call her back. She then calls John, who left his phone in the truck and is drinking beer at the bar. Kelly heard the steps creaking as she was calling, like someone or something was coming downstairs. So she hurries upstairs and realizes that Lucifer is there. So running back downstairs, she opens the front door and sees that it's been boarded. She runs to the kitchen, opens the back door to see it's been boarded also. So she runs back to the basement where the laundry is, and she's about to pry some of the boards loose when she hears the tiger breaking the door. Kelly grabs a knife, drops it, and tries to hide in the laundry chute. In her hurry, she drops her cell phone. Lucifer barges in and walks around looking for Kelly. Suddenly her phone rings. It's the police calling her back. Lucifer destroys the phone, and by now she's sweating and trying to avoid slipping in the chute. A drop of Kelly's sweat hits the floor and attracts Lucifer, who sniffs and licks it. Lucifer now walks under the chute and looks directly at Kelly. It goes to walk away and then suddenly lunges through the chute. It can't get in, so it's using its paws to get at Kelly. She tries to use her forearms and knees to move up the chute, but it's too slippery. She slips a few inches and the tiger almost catches her. So determined, she climbs up the chute until she comes into the bathroom. Now Tom's already in the bathroom, sitting on the floor, cross-legged, staring into space. Kelly asks where he's been, and then leads him from the bathroom to John's room, where she tries to get on the internet. But there's no connection, and they're still at the computer when Lucifer gets to the door, and as it's trying to break it down, Kelly grabs Tom, pours some perfume on the floor to mask their scent, and hides under the bed. Lucifer finally gets in, walking around the room. Tom tries to reach out, but Kelly stops him. Lucifer climbs on the bed where they're hiding underneath and gets down. Kelly's trying to see where Lucifer is and looks towards the door when it suddenly tries to attack them from under the bed. Kelly moves away from the tiger, and as Lucifer puts its head under the bed, its weight lifts the bed, so it stands between Kelly and Tom itself. Kelly's struggling to open the door as Lucifer rips through the mattress. Finally, she opens the door, pulling Tom with her, and they run down the stairs. They get to the front door carrying a wooden stool. She hits the board repeatedly with it, but it's not budging. So now frustrated, she changes tracks. She goes into the kitchen, grabs some raw minced meat and some sleeping pills. She hides the pills inside raw meatballs, and as she does this, Tom sits at the table demanding breakfast. So she cuts some chocolate into squares for him and drops some laced meatballs for Lucifer. She hurries Tom back upstairs and tells him to get to his room while she tries to open the door to the attic. And as she's trying to open the door, she notices that it's been screwed as well. She falls from the table she was using and runs back to Tom's room. And from there they move to an unfinished room that has their mom's gown in the closet. Kelly blocks the door with the dresser and gives the gown to Tom to calm him down. When Lucifer tries to break the door down, she grabs a crowbar and hides in the closet with Tom. So now Lucifer enters the room, prowling around, searching for him. And when he sees him in the closet, Kelly uses the crowbar to break the wall and pushes Tom through. Before she can get through that hole, Lucifer claws at her calf, injuring her. They run to the drawing room, where Kelly picks some bullets and tries to find a gun. And she doesn't see it, so now she's feeling helpless. And she's praying for a sign to get out of this predicament. Well, she doesn't see the sign, but she does see a life insurance policy for $250K on the both of them. At the bar, the sheriff approaches John, and he asks if he's insane to own a tiger. John says he's on top of things. So in the house, Kelly finds the revolver, loads it, and tells Tom to stay put. He ignores her though, and goes into the den, and to the TV. She tries to fire at Lucifer, but the gun doesn't fire, and Lucifer attacks her, but she escapes. So she runs into the laundry and escapes outside through an open window. So she runs to her car and starts it, hoping to escape when she thinks about Tom. Her mind flashes to the video, her mother with Tom on his 8th birthday. Kelly struggles with herself. She's crying, looking at the house, and tries to start the car again. Finally, she gets out of the car and walks back to the house in the heavy rain, and she finds Tom back in the closet holding their mom's bag. She sits in front of him and tells him that she's sorry their mom left, but she isn't going to leave him. She makes a torch and leads Tom down the stairs. Now they're in the hall when Lucifer sees him and jumps from the balcony. Kelly swipes with the torch and shoots it. The bullet hits home, but Lucifer shakes it off. Wary of the torch, Lucifer stalks him until they get into the freezer. Now it pounces, but Kelly locks the freezer just in time. She calms down Tom, who's feeling claustrophobic, and lulls him to sleep by humming a lullaby. Now after some time, Kelly gets out of the freezer with Tom. They hear someone removing the screws from the boards. John opens the door, entering the house armed with a rifle. He scans around looking for Lucifer, and he's shocked when he sees Kelly and Tom. Kelly tells John Tom doesn't understand what happened, and he should let them go. He tells Kelly that their mother wanted to leave him, which is why he killed her. And he goes on explaining when Lucifer pounces on him. Kelly tries to protect Tom, expecting Lucifer to attack at any time. But when it doesn't, Kelly looks back and sees that the tiger is feeding on John while he's still alive. So as quietly as she can, she leads Tom to the door. Before she leaves the house, she and Lucifer lock eyes. Then it roars, and Kelly quickly leaves. And as they're standing on the porch, they look on. The rain has stopped. Tom reaches out for Kelly's hand, and Kelly smiles. Burning Bright was released in 2010 and produced by Lionsgate. It starred Brianna Evigan, Charlie Tahan, and Garrett Dillahunt. If you were Kelly in the car the first time she escaped Lucifer, would you have gone back for Tommy or leave him to the tiger? And be honest, let me know in the comments with the hashtag Cinema Recap.